waited to your door at daylight. It almost seems like you're avoiding me. I'm okay alone, but you got something I need.
Welcome back to the Art and Antiques Radio Show. This is your chantress of everything valuable and beautiful, Elizabeth Stewart. And Richard, that was quite an interesting piece of music. Thank you very much. That was a ukulele orchestra with a country western thing. I'm here with Thomas Chalk, and he's quite a design genius. He comes to us from Honolulu. He's opened a wonderful gallery that's not just art, not just furniture, not just found items, not just his own aesthetic, not just his own design, not just his own vision, but it's a combination thereof and is amplified by all the things working together to create really quite a harmonious. I was kind of floored, I have to tell you, and I've been looking at things like this for 23 years, and I haven't seen a thing like this in 23 years. He's come to us, and he's located at the Design and Fusion Gallery, 826 East Coda Street, right before you hit Milpas. And I want to talk with Thomas about his experience in Hawaii. If that changed your idea of possibly, I've heard that Hawaiian hospitality is pretty remarkable. And then it seems that you're so hospitable. I mean, you met me with tea and we sat down, we talked before we looked at any of the work. Where'd that come from?
Well, I'm full of stories in my life. They're little things that happen. I met this woman, and she was about 10 years older than I was, and I met her when I was about 40-something years old. And I met her through a mutual friend, and the neat thing about Hawaiians in general is that they're very welcoming. And so every time I call her on the phone and we'd start talking, she said, come, meaning come visit. And every time I did come, the first thing you did when you walked into her house is you had to give her a huge hug, because otherwise she wouldn't be happy. And that's what I've always wanted to do in terms of a store, or just being able to do this thing, because nowadays, you know how it is with customer service. They don't know what that means anymore. It's gone. Everybody's too rushed. They're too concerned about the bottom line. I'm not so concerned about the bottom line in that I still have to make a living, but then it's a matter of being able to be nice to people.
Mm-hmm.
I have all these really nice ideas, and so if you come to my place, I will treat you very nicely.
I know. I was experiencing that last night. Yes.
You know, I have. It's really interesting because several years ago in Pottery Barn, they had these white porcelain takeout containers, which were a knockoff of the Chinese takeout containers you get from all the Chinese stores when you take them home. And so they had they were made of white porcelain with white lids on them and metal handles on them. And so I said, God, those things are cool. And they were on discount. I said, wow. So I got on my little internet, and I contacted almost all the Pottery Barn places throughout the whole country, and I landed up getting a whole bunch of these things.
How many?
I probably have 150 or 200 of them, and they go from all the way, they're 3 different sizes, and basically, if you're a really good customer of mine, you get one eventually. And, this is how I think of things, to be able to give. And so many times people forget about giving. All they want to do is take. Uh-huh. And there's a lot to be said about giving.
Okay, so tell me now, regarding ceramics, I saw in the gallery last night pots that were bigger than a bathtub, huge, great, big, beautiful, sort of brownish ochre, very simple, almost in an Asian design. The pots that you commission in China, how did that come about?
Well, several years ago, I was in the Bay Area, and I met through an antique dealer, I met this company, or I got introduced to this company. And they were the first company, maybe the only company in China that does high-fired clay pots. And these are not glazed. They're high-fired, and they come out basically a dark chocolate brown to a darker brown. They're not glazed, they're not fancy, but they're
beautiful.
there.
Yeah.
In fact, from what I understand, several of these pots are in the National Arboretum in Washington, D.C. And supposedly one of the premier bonsai people requested that these pots be used for his trees. Also, this company works with Huntington Gardens in L.A., and they're working on a line of custom pots for Huntington Gardens. These pots are really amazing. The one thing that I was drawn to about them is that they started out with little teeny bonsai pots like you see all over the place. But the neat thing is that they've gone, 2 years ago, they really stretched the imagination, and they've made these pots almost 5 feet across.
5 feet.
5 feet across, and they're 5 different sizes. And when you go to my website, eventually you'll see my dog in one of these pots, sticking his head up in his paw saying, "Hey, come over and visit me." But it's just really amazing. And one thing I thought these would be wonderful for is not only do I have these pots, but I have one of my friends is a broker in Oregon, and we have access to some of the most amazing specimen trees. And I've always, one of the reasons why I moved up to Santa Barbara and to California was to be able to use all these wonderful trees that you have over here and make these huge, beautiful displays.
In those pots.
In these pots. And also what's really amazing too is this company also has access to these wonderful fountains that they make out of natural stone. They're just these huge boulders, sometimes 3 to 5 feet across, and maybe 3 or 4 feet tall. And the neat thing about these things is they come from an area that's high in iron, and so they look just like they have all this rust and stuff on the outside. But when you slice them, and they polish them, they come out absolute black. And so you have this absolute black on the top with the water slowly trickling down on the sides of this fountain. And I have wonderful designs for somebody's yard for these things, and it'd just be a pleasure to work with some of you.
You know, the pots themselves, dear listener, are fantastic. I've never seen anything like them. But then another thing that Thomas actually is bringing to Santa Barbara is this idea of a rug that actually you could have your company logo on the rug. You could have your own design. If you're a painter, you could have a painting done in the rug. Tell us about that, Thomas.
Well, you know, I sort of meet people and things, and I sort of collect them, and I don't know how they're going to come together. And so I was in the Bay Area last year, and I was looking at some silk plants because somebody wants some silk plants. And then I talked to this person who was repping them, and he says, "Oh, I got this rug line, and it's really neat." I says, "Well, what's so neat about it?" He said, "What's neat about this rug line is that this company is the largest producer of handmade Tibetan rugs in the whole world, supposedly. They took when Tibet became a communist country, they moved all their people over to Nepal. And so they have weavers in Nepal, and they also have Indian weavers that they brought over. And the neat thing about this thing is that if you want to design your own rug, I can design it for you, up to 200 knots per square inch, which is a really, really fine rug. And what happens is that if you see a rug, you can send me a picture of it. You want to design your rug, just send me a picture of it. In 2 days, it's on their website. You have 250 colors to choose from. You can mix silks, you can mix wool, you can use 250 different colors. And if you finally decide on what you want to work on, we can make a 1 square foot of this new rug. And you give me $150, and within 1 month, I have that 1 square foot of your brand new rug. And
fantastic.
If you want to have a whole rug made, within 5 months after that, your rug is here, and that's an amazing turnaround time to be able to do something like that.
We need to go to break. When we get back, I'm going to talk to a new gallery owner and designer, Thomas Chalk, a little bit more, so don't turn that dial, dear listener.